Hello everyone, Mocha Bear here. Welcome back to Mocha Bear's Hobby Den. Today we're going to continue the playable races of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Shall we get started? Now I know you all are probably looking forward to the episode where I'm going to be doing a recap of my session 0 with my new physical in-person campaign group. It is coming, do not worry. I'm just trying to get things taken care of. I've been away for almost a whole week. This is my first time sitting down in front of my computer in 6 days. So please bear with me. Do not worry. That will be coming soon, I promise you. As I said, we are going to be continuing the playable races of D&D 5th edition. So let's just move on. First race is the Githyanki. So those of you who have or have watched people play Baldur's Gate 3, you'll recognize this race. In fact, I am currently still playing it on my gaming channel. Little shameless plug here. If you want to check that out, right there is what my channel looks like. Link to it will be in the description box down below, so feel free to check that out. But if you want to read the information, go ahead and pause it here so you can read the 2 little paragraphs about them. Just a little thing I will tell you is that they were once under the rule of mind flayers, so they were slaves to the mind flayers. Alright, here we go. So, as a Githyanki, you have the following racial traits. Creature type, you are a humanoid. Size, you are medium. Speed, your walking speed is 30 feet. Astral knowledge, you can mystically access a reservoir of experiences of entities connected to the astral plane. Whenever you finish a long rest, you gain proficiency in one skill of your choice and with one weapon or tool of your choice, selected from the player's handbook, as you momentarily project your consciousness into the astral plane. These proficiencies last until the end of your next long rest. Githyanki Psionics. You know the Mage Hand cantrip, and the hand is invisible when you cast the cantrip with this trait. Starting at 3rd level, you can cast the Jump spell with this trait. Starting at 5th level, you can also cast the Misty Step spell with it. Once you cast Jump or Misty Step with this trait, you can't cast the spell with it again until you finish a long rest. You can also cast either of those spells using any spell slots you have of the appropriate level. Intelligence, Wisdom, Charisma, your choice when you create this race. Psychic Resilience, you have resistance to psychic damage. So the Githyanki are really good for any martial type, any martial class. So barbarian, fighter, ranger, rogue, cleric or paladin. But I would probably go with a barbarian, a fighter, or a ranger for a Githyanki myself personally. I have never used one before. I might have one in the upcoming campaign. We will see. But moving on to the next race, we have Githzerai. So originally the Githyanki and Githzerai were sub-race options for you to pick after you picked Gith as your race in an older book, but now they are their own separate races. So there we go. So creature type, you are a humanoid. Size, you are medium. Speed, your walking speed is 30 feet. Githzerai Psionics. I think it's Githzerai is the proper way to pronounce it. You know the Mage Hand cantrip, and the hand is invisible when you cast the cantrip with this trait. Starting at 3rd level, you can cast the Shield spell with this trait. Starting at 5th level, you can also cast the Detect Thoughts spell with it. Once you cast Shield or Detect Thoughts with this trait, you can't cast that spell with it again until you finish a long rest. You can also cast either of them using any spell slots at the appropriate level. Intelligence, Charisma, Wisdom, you pick when you select this race. Mental Discipline. Your innate psychic defenses grant you advantage on saving throws you make to avoid or end charmed and frightened conditions on yourself. Psychic Resilience. You have resistance to psychic damage. So these are really good as your spellcasters, mostly your sorcerers or wizards. You can use a rogue. Like I said, rogue is good for the Githyanki because they're a martial type, but they have the invisible mage hand. Rogues could use that, but I would probably make a arcane trickster Githzerai. But I'd probably go with probably a shadow origin sorcerer or maybe a transmutation wizard would be interesting. But those, I would mostly go with either a sorcerer or wizard for the Githzerai. Githzerai, goodness. Again, I have no experience with using these characters as a player or a DM, so maybe they'll show up sometime in the future. But next up we have Goblin. Now, I have not used a Goblin as a player before. I've used plenty of them as a DM to attack people. In fact, I almost I almost outright killed a player in our first session with a Goblin because I rolled a natural 20 on their arrow, on their bow attack, and I maxed out damage on a wizard. They were 1 point away from being completely killed, and they were at full health at the beginning of the fight. My first turn using a Goblin, yeah, almost killed him outright. But I do have a Goblin character that I'm hoping to use. My friend Little Sith is wanting to run a Beyond the Witchlight kind of campaign. She wants to do something heavily in the Feywild. And I have a character made already called Itz. He's a Goblin Barbarian. I can't remember the subclass. I think it's from Kobold Press. I think it's like Shadow Tendril or something like that. I hope that she's able to get that going so I can play. But Goblins have gotten a big change. Feel free to pause to read that paragraph there. Goblins have come quite a bit of a ways since I first got into D&D during 5th edition. So it was nice to see the progression of it. Creature type. You are a humanoid. You are also considered a goblinoid for any prerequisites or effect that requires you to be a goblinoid. Size. You are small. Speed. Your walking speed is 30 feet. Dark vision. You can see in dim light 60 feet. The typical dark vision thing. Fey ancestry. You have advantage on saving throws you make to avoid or end the charm condition on yourself. Fury of the small. When you damage a creature with an attack or a spell and the creature size is larger than yours, you can cause the attack or spell to deal extra damage to the creature. The extra damage equals your proficiency bonus. You can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, regaining all expended uses when you finish a long rest, and you can use it no more than once per turn. Nimble escape. You can take the disengage or hide action as a bonus action on each of your turns. Most people would use a goblin as a rogue. In fact, those of you who are fans of Critical Role and you've watched their second campaign, you know that not a goblin is a rogue. Now, because of their size, they're really great for being a rogue. I would use one as a rogue. But as I said before, I have made a barbarian. Because of their Fury of the Small, they can deal extra damage. So that's more damage output for a barbarian that's raging. I could not pass that up. And then getting the ability to disengage or hide as a bonus action, that's pretty good as well. So I had to make it. I had to make a barbarian goblin. It's something that's out there. It's not something you see. So I wanted to be outside of the box. So me personally, barbarian for fun. Rangers. Goblins make really good rangers. Rogues, of course, without a doubt. However, I do have a goblin coming up in my upcoming campaign that I'm starting for my group. I can't go into too much detail yet because I don't want to spoil it in case any of them watch this. But there is a goblin that is not the typical class that you would see for them. And then lastly, we have a race that I have played before, and that is a Goliath. Now, feel free to read the little paragraph over there while I tell you about my experience with the Goliath. A friend of mine, Mystic Naz, wanted to run a Rime of the Frost Maiden campaign. So I wanted to make something that was out there, not something that you typically see. But I wanted a race that would be fitting for the setting, for the environment, because it's recommended that you pick a race or you have gear and clothing to protect you from the cold. So I went with a Goliath. And most people go with a barbarian like Travis Willingham did in their first campaign, Legends of Vox Machina. Some people would go with a fighter, maybe a cleric or a paladin. They would go with a martial class. Well, I went with a wizard. However, I went with a blade singer wizard, which is one of, if not my most favorite wizard subclass to pick from. because you get your martial aspects in there along with your spell casting. It's the best of both worlds in my personal opinion. Let's move on down here so you can read along with me. Creature type, you are a humanoid. Size, you are medium. Speed, your walking speed is 30 feet. Little Giant. Little Giants was a great movie, by the way. You have proficiency in the athletics skill, and you count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and the weight you can push, drag, or lift. Mountain Born. You have resistance to cold damage. You also naturally acclimate to high altitudes, even if you've never been to one. This includes elevations above 20,000 feet. Stone's Endurance. You can supernaturally draw an unyielding stone to shrug off harm. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to roll a d12. Add your constitution modifier to the number rolled and reduce the damage by that total. You can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So, as you can see, some very useful things in there for a wizard, like that reducing damage without having to use a spell to cast shield. I had fun with this character. I sadly only got to use them for 2 sessions. That campaign fell through, sadly. I would love to pick that up again. I would love to pick up my Ravnica campaign again that Mystic Naz was running, because one of my favorite characters is in that campaign that I made. One of my favorite characters I made, which I will get to that race in another video. But again, Goliaths are great for barbarians. They're great for any martial class, so barbarian, fighter, cleric, paladin. But don't be afraid to use them outside of the box. Don't be afraid to use them for a bard or wizard. They'd make good rangers too, depending on the setting. They'd make a really good ranger as well. But that is it for today's episode. I hope you found this informative, helpful in any way, especially to all of you out there who are new to D&D 5th edition and not sure what race to pick, as well as what classes to tie in with them, what to make. You have the typical like stereotype classes that these races would have, but don't be afraid to go out of the box with them. But it does not hurt to ask your DM, hey, this is what I want to do. Would this be alright? Would this benefit me in the setting, or would it put me at a disadvantage? If you found this episode informative, helpful, entertaining, give this video a like, hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, then hit the bell icon, set notifications to all, get notified when I upload videos and do live streams. Again, my 2-year anniversary is next month. It is the 10th. Which is a Wednesday. I will be streaming that following Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is the 14th, I believe. So I will probably do a painting video again, just like I did in my previous stream. In fact, I might use that as an excuse to continue painting some of the D&D minis that I have that I want to use. But also, please comment down below what you thought about these races. What class would you pick? What did you think of my recommendation of classes? As well as let me know what your experience with them is. I would love to hear from you all. Lastly, please share this video, bring awareness to my channel, and help me spread awareness of all this information to all the new players out there in DMs that might need help. Also, remember, sharing this helps me continue to grow. I am at, as of right now, 320 subscribers within 2 years. That is amazing. I want to see if we can get to 350. We're 30 subscribers away. I think we can do it. But I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Please, as always, take care of yourselves. And until next time, hobby on.